Good morning, everybody. It is Friday morning, November 4th. So first I want to talk about Chip. I think his name is Chip Littler, but his name is Chip Lit Fam 17 on Telegram. And I want to give him a shout out and say thank you for taking the time to watch some of these longer videos of different people, especially Phil Godlewski, and he writes up what he says. So I don't watch Phil's stuff anymore because I can just read through Chip's notes and, within a couple of minutes, I know the highlights, and I appreciate that. As someone trying to take in a lot of information, time is money, so use it wisely. Anyway, I have posted 4 things that he did an overview on from last night onto my Telegram channel. That is Soul Purpose Insights. And he again is Chip, ChipLitFam 17. And if you haven't started following him, again, check him out. I like what he says. He seems very rational. He kind of sees both sides of the picture and kind of talks it through just like we all do, trying to figure out what's going on and why this will work or won't work or whatever. So anyway, give him a check. The other thing that I wanted to talk about real quick is this happened. Well, it happened this week or last night or yesterday, and it's kind of funny, but I think it is very relevant for what is about to happen. So my apartment complex started announcing several months ago that we were going to get smart locks and smart thermometers or thermostats in our apartment. And then they'd say it's happening next week, and then it's getting canceled. Happening next week, getting canceled. So we had been warned off and on forever. And finally this week it happened. So I got, when I came home on Wednesday, we finally had information stuck up on the door, more details on what was coming and how to do the lock and how to do the thermostat. So I'm like, okay, so we must be finally getting close this time. And truly my biggest fear was getting locked out of my apartment. And, for whatever reason, me having a missing link and not being able to get in my own place and coming home from work someday and just having that happen. The good news is I came home at lunch yesterday and they were actually working on my lock. So I they were almost finished. I had a little bit of a private tutorial on how to do the lock and how to open it and close it, and I checked it before I left for lunch, and I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. I feel better now. I'm not going to be locked out of my apartment. The code worked, all systems go. So I'm at work yesterday afternoon, and we have a lock on the back side of our office, and I go out that way to take the mail out all the time. I go in and out of that door several times a week, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. Yesterday afternoon, I come back in, I'm punching my code, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not working. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not letting me in. And I'm like, is the battery dead? What is going on? And finally, I'm like knocking on the door to I need the girls on the other side of the door to let me in. And finally, they did come to the rescue, but I was punching in the wrong number. Well, part of it was because I had that new code on the door, and so for whatever happened, my mind just got erased, and I couldn't get in that door. And so we all got a good laugh out of it, because they're like, "What is wrong with her? She's goes in and out of that door all the time." Well, it was user error. It was my fault in that case. So I come home from work last night. It was beautiful out this week. And so I'm like, I'm going for another walk after work because I know this weather's not going to last much longer. And I went in the bedroom, changed my clothes, was washing my makeup off, and I could hear this beeping of these new locks. And one of them was really loud. And I'm like, oh God, am I going to have to listen to the damn doors beeping now all the time as people go in and out? Every time they lock it or come in, you don't hear that so much with keys. And so I think I was in the bedroom, and the next thing I know, I'm like, it sounds like someone's trying to get into my apartment. And I'm like, what the fuck? And so I go to my door, and it's my neighbor from upstairs, and he is in sheer panic. He's from India, and apparently he had been in India for the last month and just got home like a day or so ago. And so, and I think maybe they didn't have his phone number, because I was like, he goes, I tried to get up into my apartment and I couldn't, and they had that lock on the door. And he's like, I'm thinking, did they do that because I didn't pay the rent? But I paid the rent yesterday. I mean, he was like out of his mind in terror. And I'm like, calm down. It's okay. I got you covered. I can help you. And he goes, and then I'm like thinking, am I in the wrong apartment? So he came down to mine thinking, he was on the wrong floor. And anyway, when you are in panic like that, your mind seizes up. Mine did the same thing on Monday. Oh God, my nose itches all of a sudden. What the hell is going on? So I went in, I went back from lunch on Monday, and my computer logged me out instead of logging me back in. We had 3 1 o'clocks. The phone was ringing off the hook. My computer wouldn't work, and I was in a panic like he was last night. I couldn't think. I was just like punching numbers and punching stuff on the keyboard in a panic. And thank God there was somebody else in there who was not in a panic. And she calmly got me back on, logged me out, did it the right way, and got me back on. I was able to get my neighbor upstairs back in. I showed him how to do it. He had his code, and I'm like, go on upstairs. You ought to be okay. If you have any problems, I'm here for you. Thank God he didn't show up 5 minutes later, because I would have been out on my walk and he would have not had anybody. He would have had to go to the apartment, like the clubhouse and the office, to find out what was going on. But poor thing. And I feel this is probably what is going to happen when shit does hit the fan for a lot of people. Because I even asked him, I was like, did you not get all the emails? I'm like, they've been warning us for a month and a week. And he goes, well, I was in India. And I'm like, I got a text message yesterday after the guy did the little code. So I was like, we got emails, we got text messages as they recoded everything, and he didn't get a code on his phone. So he missed a few things. He had his eye off the ball. He was out of the country, and he got caught with his pants down. And I think that's how a lot of these people are going to be. They've had warning after warning after warning and have not paid attention to it, or haven't seen all of the puzzle pieces. And that's exactly what's going to happen to several thousands of people. And we are going to have to help keep our head on straight to help them. Because again, like it happened to me on Monday when I couldn't get into my computer, my brain just like seized up. That's what happened to him yesterday. He was in a panic and he couldn't think straight. That's what's going to happen to them. They're going to be in a panic and they're not going to be able to think straight. So they're going to be coming to us. We're going to have to keep our head on straight. So I feel like all of this stuff that happened this week was almost like a forewarning, kind of like going, I'm preparing you. This is what's coming. It's happened to me. So I had an example of it happening to me, and I saw it, what happens when, our subconscious just kind of does things, and then all of a sudden it doesn't work and you can't access your apartment, whatever the case is. So, that, I was kind of laughing about it, telling my friend last night, because it wasn't happening to me, but it was my greatest fear. So anyway, I think that's it. I don't have any questions for the day. That's just kind of be prepared for those people who are in a panic. And that's probably what's going to happen, is we're going to have to be there to calm them down and help them through, because you can't think when that happens. I mean, literally, I'm living proof. I think we've all had that example happen of where, you go into panic mode and your brain just shuts down. So anyway, have a good weekend. Again, anything could happen in the next, let's see, what do we got? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. 5 days. Lots of things could happen. Oh, one last thing. I don't know if this means anything. I was having a conversation last night with a friend of mine about the elections and whether they were going to happen, whether they're not going to happen, what was going on in Brazil. I was kind of telling her about that. I'm like, I don't know if you've seen all the stuff on that, but I'm like going, if we have an election and things aren't fixed, and the same thing that happened in 2020 happens in 2022, what's going on in Brazil is probably, that's going to be a shit hits the fan moment for a few 100,000 people, million maybe, I don't know. And where was I going with this? And when I was talking to her, I had this vision pop into my head of me going to vote and having military at each, like voting place. And I said to her, I said, I would feel safe if I went to vote and I saw military presence there, because then I would feel like they were keeping an eye on the election. They were keeping an eye to make sure nobody was cheating, nobody was pulling out ballots from underneath. I would feel safe about that. Also, yesterday, I posted a thing on Telegram that talked about checking for wireless connections. When you pull up, check and see what wireless connections show up. When you're in line, check and see if there's any new ones. When you get inside, check and see if there's any new ones. And there's something about, they must be, maybe that's how they hacked in the last time, was they had specific wireless connections that went into the computers. I don't know, but I thought that was interesting. That is also on my Telegram channel from yesterday. So if you want to go read the directions, it tells you what to look for and, who to call, and everybody's got their phone with them. So that should be easy enough to do if you know how to do that. Anyway, have a good weekend. I'll talk to you later. Bye.